What is up, guys? It is Hoodie from Hoodie Plays, and today I have episode 2 of our Road to London series. Today we're going to be going over the results of the Sheffield Regional this past weekend, September 7th. It is the first big regional in the new Worlds format. It was in the UK, and there was 572 Masters, so a pretty good showing from them. I'm really excited for what they're going to be able to show us this year, like numbers-wise, with their regionals and their like SPEs, because Worlds being in London this year means that that's probably a really big boost to their player base, because now they don't have to think about having to fly all the way over here or do all of that travel to be able to perform at Worlds. So that could be really cool to see their numbers grow, and it's an already very strong region, so that could be really cool. But we're going to get right into this. I'm going to go over a few of the decks that did really well and not go too in depth. If you guys want to look at all these lists yourself, it is on limitlesstcg.com, and they have all the deck lists from all the recent events, and it's a very helpful website. Before I get into the video, make sure to check out ADG, that place in the corner. They sponsor me and they help me get out the videos like these, and are just great people, a great organization, and I definitely recommend them, so check them out. But let's get right into this. So the winning deck was Gardevoir Sylveon, and it's a little bit different than the list. It's a little bit different than the list that was played at Worlds, in the fact that it now plays 2 Fairy Charm Psychic, and that just kind of shores up the matchup against Mew Mew, which was obviously, after winning Worlds and this being the first regional, was kind of expected to do very well. So I think that's very necessary with this deck. Another interesting thing about this is that his 4 Custom Catcher, he had a deck list submission error, which I believe was just for day 2, but either way, he had to drop all 4 Custom Catcher for 4 basic Fairy Energy, so that's kind of insane that he was still able to do as well as he did. I did see that after round 9, so there was, I believe, 15 rounds or something like that, after round 9, he did not play a single Reshiram Charizard, which, when we look at the numbers of how much everything was played, is a complete statistical anomaly, and actually insane that he was able to avoid all of them. So don't get too hype on the fact that this deck won. It did come with a fair amount of luck, and the player that used it, I believe his name was David Ferreira. Yeah, David Ferreira is just insane. So like, I wouldn't say that this is the best deck in the format just after winning Sheffield. I think it still has a long ways to go. It still has some hard matchups, and when your worst matchup is a borderline auto loss and is the most played deck in the format, then I mean, it's not in your favor all the time. However, he is now playing 2 Fairy Charm Ultra Beast, which shores up your Blacephalon matchup, which is another deck that's played a lot as well. The 2 Fairy Charm Lightning means that you just roll over Pikarom, and the 2 Fairy Charm Psychic means that the Mew Box deck is a favorable matchup as well. So having a favorable matchup versus those 3 is very strong. Literally all you need to do is avoid Reshizard. If you just avoid Reshizard, this deck is insane. And he is playing the 5 stadium thing, which I think is really good. I think right now that's very strong. A lot of people have been playing 4 for a while, and in order to win the stadium war comfortably, playing 5, and especially when 4 are power plant, it's just really good. It's just really good. But that was your winning deck right there. Gardevoir Sylveon GX Tag Team. Other notables in the top 8, we have Logan Madden playing Pikarom, which is the Judge Rom version, which I personally think is the best Pikarom version. It plays the lower copies of the Pokemon and replaces those with Judge and Switch, and stuff like that. This one played a Choice Helmet, which I'm not entirely sure what that's for. I guess it stops the play of like Shrine into Flare Strike for a knockout from a Reshizard, but I'm not too sure what else that really helps you with. Choice Helmet just blocks 30, right? Yeah, 30. So Maybe just for the Reshazard matchup, I'm not entirely sure. But it was very interesting to say the least, and he did very, very well, Logan Madden. So shout outs to him. I really like this list. It's very similar to the Judge Rom lists from Worlds, except for he played the Choice Helmet, and he played. That might actually be it. He might have dropped one Stadium. I've been seeing a lot of the Pikaroms also play Power Plant as their fourth stadium. So like a power plant, two labs, and the Thunder Mountain. And when thinking about like the Zeraora and like the Dedenys and like stuff like that, it's kind of weird that you would play the single copy of like power plant in there. But it allows you to potentially take 4 prizes against Quad Keldeo, and allows you to do a lot of cool stuff that you wouldn't be able to do anyway. With this deck, I think Quad Keldeo provides this deck a lot of issues because there's no like recovery after they kill the Coco and they kill the Hoopa. They just kind of win, like the game is over. So playing the one power plant, and when you're playing the one copy of power plant on your terms, it's actually really, really good because you can choo choo lock against stuff like Mew Box and like stuff like that. You can choo choo lock into Judge, and then you can use the power plant. Power plants also, or like the single copy stadiums in this deck, are a little bit better in my opinion because you do play Stadium Nav, and you play 4 Volkner, so you can kind of find them a lot easier than you can in other decks. But that's just my opinion for this going forward um, to Atlantic City Regionals. But that was this so far. And we do have one Pidgeotto Control. Pidgeotto Control was not really played a whole lot. I think a lot of people were expecting it to be teched for with Zebstricas and stuff like that, and with Jesse and James not out yet. This deck, I think it's one of those that is really, really good if you're not teched for it. It's like borderline the best deck of the format if you're not teched for it. But if you know what's coming, then it's something that you can... it's not something you can really outplay because the lock just kind of happens, but it's something that you can tech for in your deck to where it can't. Because Zebstrika literally just beats this deck. Like, there's literally nothing that like, I just don't know how you win if your opponent plays a Zebstrika in this. So, notables from this list is that Homie played 1 extra Water Energy. He played an extra Mars as well. And I believe there was something else too. Maybe another power plant. It might have just been 2 before, but I'm not exactly sure what was taken out for it. But everything else is pretty much the same from the lists that were played at Worlds. He played the 150 HP Pidgey, which is interesting, but it's probably just for collect or the fact that he didn't have like a 4th 60. But that's pretty much it. I do expect that deck to do amazing. So I'm going to kind of do this video in layers. First is I'm going to quickly go over all the lists that were in top 8 and what they did. I'm going to go over the statistics and show you guys who played, I mean, like how many people played what and how well they did. And then I'm going to talk about what I think that means for us going into Atlantic City. And I'm going to do the same thing for every regional this year. So, but yeah, so we have that. We have Blacephalon Naganadel, which horrible matchup against Guardia Sylveon when they played the 2 Ultra Beast charms. Just look at this. Like, how did they get through it? So the one Heatran GX is able to take a 3 prize knockout because it can just blow up. It can just blow up a Gardevoir Sylveon. But after you do that, literally, how do you take another prize? I'm looking. I don't see it. I literally just don't see how you take another prize if they don't prize one of their dudes, one of their Ultra Beast charms. Like, it's just ridiculous. However, outside of that matchup, I think this list is amazing, and I really, really like the inclusion of the Psychic Energy. I've been saying this for a while, that I think that this Naganadel's Venom Shot is way too good to not be trying to use more. It's incredible in this deck, especially with B-String. Like, you're able to just take 2 prizes on a B-String turn because you just B-String it. You can get the Psychic out of the deck. It's insane. So good. So good. But everything else pretty much standard-ish. Very, very solid list. Really, really like this. This is one of my favorites from top 8. I really, really like this list. I think he just kind of ran into double Ultra Beast Charm, and like, what do you do? Like, just hope they prize them forehead. I think that's like pretty much what you do. But then we go into the cool. So Robin Schultz played Ability Zard, and so did Tord. So I've seen a lot of people go over this list, but they haven't really explained why the list is the way that it is. So I'm going to try to do that for you guys. So he is playing, instead of the 18 fires, again, this is exact Tord list from this tournament. Instead of the 18 fires that he played at Worlds, he's playing the 4 crystals and a flint. So basically what this came from is that people were starting to catch on that Victini was kind of the way that you played, because it was essentially like a game of solitaire. You're trying to play yourself down, you're trying to play all the fires into the discard, and then you're trying to infinity them back with Victini. So while you're playing all these fires into the discard, you're taking a big knockout with Reshazard or with Heatran. And then you're taking your knockout with Victini at the very end to take your last 3 or 2 prizes, whatever it like may be. However, a lot of the decks, especially the control variants, are able to just drop in a Hoopa, and or the Quad Keldeo can just kind of drop in a Hoopa, and you no longer have Victini, and the deck didn't play any energy recovery out of the Victini, so you're kind of SOL. And in a best of 3 format where like you don't know what your opponent's playing, if they time their Wobbuffet really well, they're just kind of out of fires, and then they get milled, and then they lose game 1, and then against Stall, it's very hard for them to like get a game 2 in and a game 3 to be able to win. So worst case scenario, you kind of tie against that. So in order to combat that, he's playing the Baby Blown, Fireball Circus, discard any number of fire energy cards from your hand, and he's playing cards that get fires into your hand. So the deck still plays the same way, discard a bunch of fires, but you bring them back with the crystal. You're able to search them out with the 1 flint. I think this is really, really interesting. I really like the way that this kind of sets up to where you don't lose to stuff that just like shuts off your Victini. I still would not be surprised if a lot of people played the Wobbuffet going into Atlantic City, because it is very, very strong in this matchup in particular. Just like turning off the Victini is so good. However, the Ninetales is also able to bring up that Wobbuffet whenever it wants to, so you can still technically, if you're playing the 18 Fire Energy version, you just have to play a little bit smarter, but you can still use your Victini. You just have to kill the Wobbuffet first. But taking that turn to attack with a Reshiram or something into the Wobbuffet generally can set you up to where you lose, especially if it's a deck that's not Stall, that's playing the Wobbuffet, which I believe there was a bunch of lists in this tournament that played the Wob, so we can look at those statistics a little bit later, but I thought that was interesting. I really, really like this list. I've been playing a lot of Tord Zard online, and I really like the way that he adapted to the changing meta. He adapted to what people were going to counter before they even got a chance to counter it. Just Tord is always just one step ahead, and this just like shows it again, that him and the rest of the people that he trains with are just so smart, and I thought this was awesome. So it's kind of more focused around the Baby Blown, and less focused around the Victini endgame. 4 crystal, 1 flint, 13 fires. Really, really cool. Shoutouts to Robin Schultz, and shoutouts to Tord for both doing very, very well with this deck. We have a green Zard right behind it, which played something interesting, the Lugia GX. Lost Purge is really, really good, especially versus those like Judge Rom variants where they only play 1 Zeraora. You can just kind of you can Gust and then Lost Purge, and that's very good. You don't really use any of the other attacks. You're like just kind of there for Lost Purging. It also helps with Stall against the Orangaroos. You can Lost Purge away their recycle energy, and it makes the game so much harder for them. If you Lost Purge that recycle energy on like the first turn of the game, or the second turn of the game before they're able to get anywhere near their lock, it can be really, really difficult. And actually, like, discarding Pokemon without taking prizes is pretty good versus Stall as well, because they want you to take prizes and want you to get into those reset stamp ranges. So, really, really good card to combat the Pidgeotto Stall, and also really good in a couple other matchups too, like the Pikarom matchup. It also, Lost Purging Choo-Choo is really good when they only play 1. Really, really interesting. I really like that inclusion. Might be something that is played in Ability Zard at some point. Not exactly sure how that would fit in, but I really like it in this for sure. Um, Anything else exciting here that's different? Played the one Lusamine, which I'm not sure that that's standard, but that's pretty cool. I like that. Everything else is pretty standard here. Trying to punish Man He Factory. Yeah. Pretty solid list here as well. Really like this by Jack Culkin. 7th place at Sheffield. Really, really solid list. I think we might see this a lot in Atlantic City, especially because the new. I think we'll probably. Yeah, I mean, I'll go over this stuff later. I need to put that in the memory bank for when I talk about like what's gonna happen, post kind of this and into Atlantic City. But and then for 8th, we had Pikarom again. No Mew Mew in top 8. We did have Sen Cauburn be 9th, and it was the Psychic Energy variant, I believe. Yeah, the Psychic Energy variant, which I am not as much of a fan of the Psychic. Wait. He played one Charizard from Hidden Fates. Is that true? If so, then that means Jesse and James is legal. Is that true? HIF Hidden Fates? So Jesse and James was legal, it just wasn't played? Is that true? Yeah, I mean it must have been, right? Because that Charizard is Hidden Fates, is it not? That's crazy. That is crazy. That's interesting. I thought that was the Hidden Fate symbol. I'm pretty sure it is, but I also didn't think it was legal yet. Uh-huh. I guess I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Anyways, I think that for our regional, we're gonna see a lot of Jesse and James and a lot of Pidgeotto control. The deck is just kind of silly. But yeah, so looking at our last top 8 was the Pikarom, and I believe this is the one that played like a million reset stamps. My computer's taking a little bit of time to load. It like does not want to look at Brian D. Vray's list. It's the same list he played at the World Championships. He played the Sigilif. He was the pioneer of this version where you choo-choo slide into the Sigilif, which is pretty cool. The Lightning Ride, and he played the 3 reset stamp. I guess it's the same list that he played at Worlds, but that seems like heavy reset stamp. But it is a very good card, so very nice to be able to get key stuff out of your opponent's hand, especially in the greens variants where they're searching for something and then a custom catcher and then they're setting up for a play next turn. 3 reset stamp kind of shuts that whole ordeal down because you're able to just you're able to recycle their hand, and when they're pretty much always taking 3 prizes, reset stamp 3 is always super strong, especially versus greens and like Walder decks. That's just really, really good. I think that's very, very strong. Very good list. Really like all of this. 3 stadiums always kind of scares me, but at the same time, you only have to swing through. Well, you technically only have to swing through Lightning Charm twice. I just think it's really scary to have to rely on like a GX and then like a huge Electropower play to be able to get your 2 knockouts against the Gardevoir Sylveon decks. I just think that matchup's really, really weak for Pikarom. I think it's really rough, but that is your top 8 for Sheffield Regionals. We're gonna go into the statistics. There's a lot of Reshizard played, I believe. This shows the thing. How many? Oh, well, this is only Reshizard, but some of the Reshizard played Zebstrika, which is kind of the whatever it's called, the counter for Pidgeotto. Mew Mew played. Yeah, okay. This is what I was talking about. Some Mew Mews played Wobbuffet. Looks like a good amount. Like more. I guess there's only 4, but 3 of the 4 played a single copy of Wobbuffet, and I think that helps your Reshizard matchup so much. Unless Tord plays the list that he played. Any Pikaroms play the boy? No, but one played a Rangaroo, which is pretty cool. And then Pidgeotto Control, Greenzard, Malamar Giratina. What was Malamar Giratina playing? Just the normal boxy kind of like a ton of cards. Just the normal like Malamar list. Nothing too crazy. Some Ultras, some just plain Psychic. No Tina Chomps, it seems. But anyways, if we look at this 18 Reshiram and Charizard, 8 Pikachu and Zekrom, and 8 Mew and Mew Mew. Like, like, huge numbers from these. Huge numbers. 31% of the people that played. Wait, what? I'm confused what this statistic means. I think everyone that is in this list made points, so I'm not sure what that is. But anyways, um, huge numbers of Reshiram and Charizard, yet Gardevoir Sylveon still won. Only 3 people played it, but the one guy just avoided all of these, and so he won, and that's kind of what happens. This, I guess, lost to the Blacephalon, which there was only one Blacephalon, and he just... Oh, that's the non-GX Blacephalon. Where's the big... There he is. 4 people played the big Blacephalon, and they just kind of tore through a lot of it. I think the new the new Mew lists that play Wobbuffet probably did really good versus the majority of the Reshizard players as well. And then I think that the Judge ROM does really well versus Tordzard also, because getting judged and then having to find Welder is pretty rough. So if you don't just kind of draw into what you need, you just kind of lose. So that is kind of that. But that's pretty much what everybody played. As you can see by the numbers, not exactly the same as when you just look at the top 8. And I think these are more telling than actually looking at the top 8 list, because top 8 lists is kind of like which player played better that day, which player got a little bit of luck, and which player avoided the matchups he didn't want to play. I mean, like, nothing off of the guy that won. That's amazing, especially with like having to drop his custom catchers. Like, that guy's a goon. So shout outs to him. But avoiding the 18 Reshizards in day 2, except for the one, is like kind of insano. But 32% of the meta, I think this carries over into Atlantic City, to be fair. I think that Reshiram Charizard, both greens and ability, are both going to do very, very well. I think that Pikarom is going to gain more and more traction as well. I think a lot of people were kind of scared off of it with how it did at Worlds, but it's still a very, very strong deck. Only really losing to like maybe Mew Mew, certain variants of Mew Mew. It like slight disadvantage versus that, and then whatever it's called, Gardevoir Sylveon tag team are the only ones. And as you see, not a lot of Guardy Sylveon tag teams, and a good amount of Mew Mews. But the matchup's not impossible versus Mew Mew. It's not like you can't attack the whole time. You can attack. It's just tag purge is pretty good. I also think that Malamar is going to get a little bit bigger. I don't think Malamar is a great deck. I think it's still solid, but I don't think it's a great deck. But I think it's going to do pretty well in Atlantic City, because Espeon Deoxys really, really beats Pidgeotto Control. And so I think that if you just if you expect to run into a ton of Pidgeotto Control, a lot of what you're going to think about playing is going to be either the Lugia GX in like Reshizard stuff, or you're going to want to play Malamar or Mewtwo that have access to Espeon Deoxys. So I think that that's probably going to be what a lot of people are going to be looking for when they go into that regional. Is they're going to be kind of afraid of... So they're going to, number one, they're not going to want to lose to Charms, right? So they're probably going to play either like Heavy Lab Pikarom is probably going to be like... Heavy Lab Judge Pikarom is probably going to be what you're going to want to do. Maybe even play like 2 Stadium Navs, because make it easier for you to find Stadium in the turns that you need them. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I mean, that's like kind of crazy, but at the same time, like, if you're playing Judge ROM and you're judging yourself to low hand, give yourself another way to draw out of it, because Volkner would just immediately get you Stadium Nav. So maybe, I don't know, just a thought going into that. I think Malamar is going to be played, as I said. I think a lot of these numbers will stay pretty similar. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I think a lot of these numbers are going to stay pretty similar. There's always going to be those people playing stuff like Quagnag and like Shit Engine Control and like Darkbox and all that stuff. But I think Darkbox is really falling to the wayside. It just kind of gets smacked by Reshiram Charizard, especially the ability version. Like, I just don't know what you do. They just kind of are faster than you, and like, you taking that extra prize with the Tyranitar. It doesn't even really matter. The deck is still really clunky. I just don't know if it's good enough right now. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. That's kind of the I don't know what my cat's doing. She's making noises over there. What are you doing, Pumpkin? Anyways, but that's pretty much out my my analysis on the Sheffield regionals. Why people played what they played, what that means for us upcoming. Definitely think about that Lugia GX when it comes to Reshiram Charizard stuff. Definitely think about if you're playing the Oranguru Pidgeotto stuff. Definitely think about playing 2 Recycle Energies because that Lost Purge is pretty strong. And yeah, I know, Pumpkin. Hello. Welcome to the world. She was asleep under my bed. Yeah, definitely think about playing the 2 Recycle Energies because it could be... hey! Stop it. Because it could be a thing where more and more people play that Lost Purge kind of thing, because if you think that Stall is going to be very, very good, you want to be able to tech for it, and that's pretty much the way that Reshiram Charizard does that, is they just give themselves a way to get rid of your Recycle Energy. So playing 2 Recycle Energies instead of the 4th Water Energy is a very easy fix to not just auto losing to stuff like that. So because I don't believe, I'm going to look at these lists one more time. Oranguru Control. I don't believe that any of them played any, like, recovery when it comes to Brock's Grid or anything. I could be wrong, but I didn't see. Oh, no. A couple of them did. The one that did really good did not. But the majority did play Brock's Grid. But I still think that, like, 2 Recycle Energies and 3 Waters is the way to go. I think that's kind of... so 2 out of the 8 also played 4 Waters. But I think that's definitely the way to go. Right there. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Well, look at all these people playing Pidgeotto Control. A whole lot of good players playing Pidgeotto Control. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I will be back with my analysis of Atlantic City after that's over, and more than likely more videos in between. Pumpkin, shut up. She's crazy. But I will talk to you guys later. Bye.